Here at Buffalo, Dolphins, Bills getting ready as we welcome you back to the NFL on CBS. For the Dolphins, they have faced some extreme weather conditions over the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks back in Pittsburgh in the snow, that memorable victory last weekend in the heat and humidity of South Florida. And today, freezing rain in the forecast. You see the wind, that could be a factor as the afternoon goes on, as we are just about ready. Dan Carpenter ready to kick it away. He was the hero in the first meeting of the season between these two teams. That field goal to win it late. And here we go. Week 16, Miami trying to win out and get into the AFC playoff picture. Here is Marcus Thigpen finding his seam up the sideline, brought down at the 30. And excellent field position for that man, Ryan Tannehill, who last week had the kind of breakthrough win Dolphins fans have been waiting for. That long losing streak, Steve, against the Patriots, ending in dramatic fashion at 7 games.
And this kid is impressive. You could just see it clicking, really starting to click the last few weeks. 2 game-winning touchdowns the last couple weeks, but he's been over 60% completion the last 7 weeks. He's making really good decisions and being accurate with the football.
Tannehill has been spectacular in the month of December. 3-0, 8 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions. That is Lamar Miller on the take. Minimal pickup, tackle made by Corbin Bryant. Starters up front, Tyson Clabo hoping for a better performance today against Mario Williams. Gave up 2 sacks in the first meeting to Williams, both coming in that fourth quarter. Brian Hartline is 75 yards away from his second straight 1,000-yard receiving season. He is their leading pass catcher here in week number 16. Lamar Miller lines up in the backfield, 2nd and 8. Tannehill has time, throwing and completing to Clay at around the 34-yard line. Forced out of bounds there by Stephon Gilmore. This defense for Buffalo leading the NFL with 49 sacks. Marcel Darius getting another one last weekend against Jacksonville. He's got 8 for the season. Kiko Alonso, 3rd leading tackler in the NFL at 137. The rookie and Jim Leonard making the start today. No Aaron Williams, their safety, down with a rib injury. So critical 3rd and 5. They mark it just outside of the 34.
That's Charles Clay up at the top of the screen.
Let's see what Tannehill does here out of the shotgun formation. Tannehill set. Buffalo coming with the safety, Denoris Searcy, who got there. They dump him for 5, and Miami will punt.
Well, I circled Charles Clay because they're going to do a lot of things trying to get him the ball, move him around different locations, but it doesn't matter if you do not protect. Right there, that should have been protected, picked up well. That was actually Daniel Thomas, the running back, who got run right over by Denoris Searcy, allowing Ryan Tannehill to be sacked on that big 3rd down play.
Brandon Fields, the 7th-year punter, on to boot it away for Miami. 52nd sack of Ryan Tannehill on the season. That is the most in the NFL. McKelvin fumbles the football. He has had some hiccups in the punt return game the last couple of weeks. You think back a couple of weeks ago in Tampa Bay, that big fumble, Steve, in the game that we had. 52-yard punt, and Buffalo fortunate to hold on to it.
Well, mark my words, the special teams role in this game will be huge. Big plays on the special teams will determine that ball game, I believe, or the ball game today. Because of these weather conditions, the ball's going to take some funny bounces. It's going to get popped out. The ball's going to flutter a little bit in the wind. Special teams are going to be huge.
So here is Thad Lewis, grew up just 4 miles outside of Sun Life Stadium. His only career win as an NFL starter came back in Week 7 in Miami. This is C.J. Spiller on 1st and 10. Stephon Gilmore, by the way, the man who recovered that muffed punt. Eric Wood headlining the front among the best centers in the NFL, arguably the best center, as he is the man snapping today to Lewis. C.J. Spiller, over 700 yards on the ground. Another dangerous season despite that high ankle sprain that has given him trouble really most of the season. Lewis's 2nd down pass sails too high, not even close. Intended receiver Robert Woods, and Lewis, Steve, took a hard hit after this throw.
He sure did. He's a tough sucker, that, Thad Lewis, but right there, you cannot expect anybody to stand up to that kind of pressure all day long. Olivier Vernon right there coming in off the edge. Again, Cameron Wake, Olivier Vernon, they can bring it off the edge, and if Buffalo does not find a way to keep them off that Lewis, it'll be a terrible day for him.
Vernon among the league leaders in sacks, tied for 4th in the league with 11.5. Lewis from the gun, 3rd and 6. This is Freddie Jackson. Jackson out past the 30. He's got the Buffalo first down. 10-yard burst, and Buffalo moving the chains. Up front, Paul Soliai was a question mark today, hurting his ankle last weekend against New England. He is making the start. Donnell Ellerbe second in tackles for this Miami linebacking unit. And in the back end, Brent Grimes, also a question mark today, is up and playing that groin injury. Nolan Carroll, also a question mark this week with an ankle in the starting lineup as well. That's C.J. Spiller on 1st and 10. Minimal pickup, and it will be 2nd down and long. And Steve, there was nothing more for Buffalo that they want, if they can't be in the playoffs, than to dash the hopes of their divisional rivals from Miami.
Oh, and they have not swept the Miami Dolphins since 2007, so that'd be one of the big things that they could accomplish by a win today. And Doug Marrone just wants to end this year on a positive note. 2 big wins.
Errant pass by Lewis, unable to connect to Spiller. Stad Lewis today makes his 4th start of the season. Started back in week 6, 7, and 8 after E.J. Manuel went down with that knee injury. And Manuel today in street clothes on the sideline. Steve, they're hoping that he will be able to return next week in their regular season finale. That surprised some people. You know, why would you rush the young quarterback back? But they need him to get some snaps and further his development.
And Doug Marrone also doesn't believe the injury is a significant injury. He just couldn't move well enough to play today.
Lewis on 3rd. He's going to sling it. And that time incomplete, trying to find T.J. Graham. So Miami's defense holds. Chris Clemens, the safety, on the coverage. Buffalo will punt.
And you know why that is, though, Spear? Why is that significant, E.J. Manuel not being able to move well enough to play today? Well, because he is a young, inexperienced, athletic quarterback, and he's going to make mistakes. And if he can't avoid pressure, if he does miss a free blitzer, then he can't protect himself. That's what Doug Marrone's afraid of.
That punt looked like may have been deflected at the point of the kick.
I think it was just
Ryan
a shank.
Mormon may have just shanked it, Steve. We'll have to take a look at the replay. Nonetheless, it is a short field for Ryan Tannehill. Officially a 13-yard punt by Mormon. So early stages, 1st quarter, Tannehill back onto the field. Mormon looked like he may have just shanked it. Timeout. Cincinnati already up early against Minnesota. That a game that could have direct implications on Miami if the Dolphins lose today. Victories by both Cincinnati and Baltimore and a loss by the Chargers. That would eliminate the Dolphins by the end of tonight. All kinds of playoff scenarios are out there. 1st and 10. This is Daniel Thomas, who's a question mark today. Missing practice time this week with an ankle. And Steve, you mentioned the weather and special teams possibly looming large already. A shanked punt by Mormon in a short field for the Dolphins.
And that's where special teams really come into play, Spiro. The short field, due only to the fact that that ball slipped off the side of Mormon's foot, gives Miami that short field. You've got to take advantage of these opportunities when they come your way if you're the Dolphins.
Now the rain really starting to pick up here as Clay goes in motion. 2nd and 7 from the Buffalo 47. Tannehill feeling the pressure over the middle, finds Clay inside the 40-second burst, gets him down to the 33-yard line. 13 yards and a Dolphins first down.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about Charles Clay today, and he came in motion across the formation. There you see him, number 42. They're going to find ways to create the matchups they want for him. He's a very, very tough matchup as a running back coming out of the backfield if he motions. He's a tough matchup as a tight end flex side on the outside against the safety. It really puts the Buffalo defense in a bind, moving him around like they will today.
Ryan Tannehill told us last night he hasn't played in rain and cold since the 8th grade. Obviously had the snow game in Pittsburgh, but a little bit easier conditions. Steve, hard to believe as Thomas kind of dances past the line of scrimmage. How difficult, Steve, is it to play in rain and these freezing temperatures?
To be 100% honest, as a quarterback, it is much better if the weather is colder and it's snow. It's so much easier to hold on to the football. Your body does not get wet. As a player in general, in these conditions, it is about as bad as it can be because your body gets completely soaked. The clothes get wet. You cannot get relief from that. And then it's cold on top of that. It's the worst possible conditions right now today.
They'll line it at the 32-yard line. Buffalo showing blitz on 2nd and 8. Play action pass. And Miami absolutely lit up. Nickel Roby putting a hit on Mike Wallace.
And the referees are discussing whether it was a lateral or a forward pass. And Spiro, you talk about weather conditions right there. Mike Wallace will tell you emphatically that that hit hurt a lot more today with these conditions than at any other point this year. Trust me.
There is Roby. He has made some awfully big plays for this Buffalo secondary. The rookie out of USC laying the smack on Wallace. 3rd and 8. Whistles blow that play dead.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Blake Blakeman, our referee here in Buffalo today. That one against Philbin's Dolphins.
And you have to remember now, Ryan Tannehill is a young quarterback. He was not aware. You got one of the first things to do as a quarterback when you break the huddle, you find the play clock so you know whether or not you've got to hurry up to get the snap off or not. Right there, that was just a lack of awareness by young Ryan Tannehill.
After the penalty, 3rd and 13 from just inside the 38. Buffalo coming, and they get to Tannehill for a second time. Kyle Williams with the sack. They dump him for 7, and Miami forced to punt yet again.
And what makes a great pass rushing team? It's inside pressure. Buffalo with the only team in the NFL that can boast 4 defensive linemen with 8 sacks or more. Right there, you saw Kyle Williams coming at little tackle in stunt, looping around, his 9th sack of the year. These guys on the inside, Marcel Darius, Kyle Williams, are as huge in the pass rush as anybody.
Brandon Fields punt, bobbled for just a brief moment as Miami able to retain with Jimmy Wilson. 37-yard punt. Buffalo's defense doing it again. Timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Happy holidays from Buffalo. Back with you on CBS. Dolphins Bills are scoreless. And Thad Lewis and the Bills now pinned inside their own 5-yard line. This is 1st and 10. Eddie Jackson will cut back maneuver over center. Gets close to the 10. Pick up of 4 yards on the play. Philip Wheeler, the 6th-year linebacker out of Georgia Tech, on the tackle for Miami.
This Fred Jackson is one of my absolute favorite players in the league. I just love the way he carries himself. I love the way he plays football. Just gets what's there, slams it up. Understands you just got to buy some space for your offense right there.
Lewis on 2nd and 5 is going to air it out again. Deep down the sideline. Has his man. It's Robert Woods. Woods inside the 40 and lunges down to the 35-yard line. 53 yards through the air from Lewis.
Well, this is what Buffalo has been kind of known for with E.J. Manuel, taking deep shots up the field no matter what the situation may be, hoping for a pass interference or a big play like that right there by Robert Woods. Great job going up and making the catch, judging the football much better than Nolan Carroll did. Nolan Carroll did not know where that ball was. Robert Woods saw it, came down and made a nice big play for Buffalo.
And with that, the rookie over 500 yards receiving on the season, showing his open field speed that time. Thad Lewis says the officials are going to talk about something here, Steve. Lewis told us this is the fastest group of wide receivers that he has ever played with, as the challenge flag was thrown out by Joe Philbin, who, by the way, is 6 of 6 in challenges
Miami
this
is
season.
challenging the progress of the receiver on the play, alleging that he stepped out of bounds prior to the spot where he was down by contact.
Now, Philbin has been very good in these scenarios on the year. So we await the review. Was Woods out of bounds? It's a 53-yard catch if it stands. That Robert Woods pass play still under review. Was he out of bounds after he had made the catch plenty of yards after the reception. It went for 53 yards. Was he out right there, Steve, left foot?
I don't think that's clear enough either way to show. To me, it looks like there's still a little bit of green between his heel and the white on the sideline. So I think he was still in bounds. Definitely not clear enough to overturn the call of a completed pass with a run attached to the end of it. So I think Joe Philbin is not going to have a perfect record anymore.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Buffalo. Miami will be charged with the first timeout.
Yeah, it just wasn't clear enough, Spiro. You know, we talked about it during the break. If it's not clear that the wrong call was made, they'll never overturn it. So kind of a risky challenge, in my opinion, early in the game for Joe Philbin.
So Miami down to their final challenge. At the 7:22 mark of the first quarter, it's a 53-yard pass play between Thad Lewis and the rookie Robert Woods.
You know, and why do I think that was kind of, as referees huddle up again, why was it risky? I think it was risky because all you're saving really is 15 yards if you get the overturn.
Please put 7 minutes and 25 seconds on the game clock. The clock will start the snap because Miami is charged with a timeout.
But my question is it worth risking a timeout in one of your challenges to pick up, 15 or 20 yards early in the game? If it's a turnover play or a touchdown play, I could understand it.
So 1st and 10, this is Spiller trying to find the edge inside the 30. And Spiller brought down by gang tackle. Let's get you to New York and an update on a busy day around the NFL.
Cincy needs a win, but, well, off of a Jermaine Gresham fumble, back comes the Minnesota Vikings. Matt Castle's going to throw it down the sideline, 36 yards to Jarius Wright, ties the game up. Back to Spiro and Steve.
All right, guys, thanks. Lewis going end zone on 2nd down, that time intended for T.J. Graham. So we'll keep you updated on the Cincinnati game. Baltimore playing later today at 4:25. The big one, Steve, against New England. All kinds of postseason scenarios around the NFL.
It doesn't look like the Vikings are going to go down gently, much to the dismay of the Miami Dolphins. Leslie Frazier's got his club playing hard the late part of the season here, despite not much to play for.
Similar set of circumstances for Buffalo today. Without their usual starting quarterback, no E.J. Manuel. Now with the knee injury, no Stevie Johnson. This is 3rd and 4. Lewis down the sideline, middle of the seam, trying to find Chris Hogan. Incomplete. It was about 3 or 4 yards in front.
There he is, right in that slot, number 50. I was excited before the snap. I was hoping Thad Lewis, just from a quarterback standpoint, would see the coverage. He got exactly what he wanted. He knew that he had that, and he has to make that throw at this level. You don't get opportunities at big strikes like that very often. When they come up, you got to cash in.
Here's Dan Carpenter, had the game winner in the first meeting between these two teams back on October the 20th. Former Dolphin. This one from 45 yards out. It has got the distance, and it is good. So Carpenter braving the elements, getting Buffalo on the board with under 7 left in the first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry, with 5 times the selection of ordinary jewelry stores. And by the new Windows, one experience for everything in your life.
Freezing rain here in Buffalo. Temperatures right around the freezing mark. 3-0 Buffalo on Dan Carpenter's 45-yard field goal. Postseason picture, 3 teams are in. There are just a couple of spots left. Kansas City, of course, is clinched. Baltimore, Miami still in the hunt. Miami can win out and get into the playoffs. But, of course, they need to win first here against the Bills today. This is Big Pen from inside his own end zone. Big Pen cuts across the field, across the 20, and brought down at the Dolphins' 25-yard line. Ryan Tannehill and his offense back onto the field when we come back. Well, you had to at least wonder about a potential emotional letdown for Joe Philbin's Dolphins after that thrilling victory last Sunday over New England, ending a 7-game losing streak to the Patriots. Ryan Tannehill finally breaking through, going toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. But even with everything at stake, sometimes hard to come back in the NFL after such an emotional win as Tannehill finds his man on the sideline. Wallace, first down play for a pickup of 6. With the playoff race is heating up, download NFL Mobile, get live video access to exclusive premium content on your smartphone. Call ** NFL to download or visit NFL.com/mobile to learn more. Message and data rates may apply.
Spiro, I'm not liking what I'm seeing inside of this Miami Dolphins O-line. Kyle Williams just drilled Ryan Tannehill again on a 3-step quick pass. Ryan Tannehill was nailed on that last play.
Already have gotten to him twice in this first quarter. Tannehill on 2nd and 4. This time has time. Tannehill now under pressure, evading Williams. Pass is complete. Brian Hartline, now they say incomplete.
Yeah, I think incomplete's the right call. This is a bad throw by Ryan Tannehill. Brian Hartline can make that catch. The conditions, did he have control as he hit the ground? That's the question. No doubt he caught the football, but I don't think he had clear possession before he hit the out-of-bounds sideline. And Ryan Tannehill did a great job avoiding the rush right there. He's got to put that ball on the money. Mario Williams forced him out of the pocket, but he's got to hit that throw on the sideline to Brian Hartline.
Tannehill 3 of 5 so far, 22 yards. This is a 3rd and 4 from the 30. Incomplete. Again, unable to hook up with Hartline, and Miami once again forced to punt.
Yeah, this is a coverage, very good coverage play right now. This Buffalo defense, it's called a hybrid defense by defensive coordinator Mike Pettin. They do a lot of different things, and for a young quarterback, a lot of times very hard to decipher what they're doing in terms of how many people are blitzing, how much pressure's coming, what coverage are they in. They give a lot of exotic looks, and right there, Ryan Tannehill, I think, was a little bit confused. He had antsy feet, didn't know where the football should have gone, and didn't make a good throw.
Brandon Fields from his own 20. Kelvin fumbled one earlier. This one on a bounce from the 22. McKelvin going backwards. Excellent punt coverage by the Dolphins. And Buffalo pinned inside their own 20. Marlon Moore getting there for Miami after a 48-yard punt. Inclement weather here in Buffalo. Freezing rain. It was coming down pretty hard earlier. It has subsided a bit. Still coming down here softly at this point. As Thad Lewis in today for E.J. Manuel under center on 1st and 10. Play action to Spiller. Lewis going to take another shot. Deep down the middle of the field. It's incomplete. Trying to find the rookie Marquise Goodwin, one of these first-year wide receivers, Steve, that have all kind of had their own moment over the last couple of weeks.
And this right here is a great play action. I love the aggressiveness up the field. And, Thad Lewis, you got to take a shot there. I think if that ball's thrown more to the middle of the field, Marquise Goodwin has a chance to run away from that defensive back because Marquise Goodwin is a speedster. That ball should have been thrown more down the middle of the field, but I like the aggressive attitude.
We've seen both quarterbacks struggle so far. You saw Lewis just 1 of 7. Here's Spiller finding the outside. So dangerous. Run out of bounds right at that first down marker. We sat down with Spiller on Friday. Told us, Steve, that his mother, Patricia, bought him a full Miami Dolphins uniform when he was 5 years old for Christmas. Grew up in northern Florida, about 45 minutes away from Jacksonville. That, even up there, is Dolphins country. Said he wore it for one day and then he threw it out. Never wore it again.
He absolutely hated it. He's 5 years old. Never liked the Dolphins.
This is 3rd and short. Freddie Jackson trying to lunge forward. Did he get it? You see where the officials spot the football. Needed to get just about to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, that was a very stout play by the defensive front of Miami right there. I don't think Fred Jackson got it. Who sat down on the ground? That's Paul Soliai trying to get down and eyeball it from the field level.
Miami's desperate, trying to win a game today and get one step closer to the playoffs. And this one's going to be close.
Didn't get it.
Inches short. Steve, any thought here?
Well, Doug Marrone, you could justify going for it in this situation. I think if you're playing for something, you don't ever go for it in this situation with a 3-point lead. These weather conditions that you're on into the field, you don't want to give the other team a short field, but I love it for the fans, for his young team. Go ahead and go for it. Take a shot, try and get him. Now, he may just be trying to pull the Dolphins off sides as well, but I wouldn't mind seeing him go for it here.
Doug Marrone, Buffalo's 5th head coach in the last 12 years, 49 years of age, the Bronx native, rolling the dice on 4th and inches.
Yeah, they're not going to run a play. Yeah. The fans aren't going to be happy now, but Doug Marrone, this is the right football decision. You don't go for it really in this situation.
Takes its first timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Oh, this is a Buffalo team that is going to miss the postseason for the 14th straight year. The fans, Steve, were hoping for a gamble here, but
And
a little bit pinned back too far on their own side of the field.
And I think that the fans and the local media would probably appreciate him going for it in that situation. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're against your bitter rivals at home, and take a chance. What are you going to lose? I mean, you're not going to go to the playoffs if you lose the game. Well, you're already out. So, but from a football standpoint, this is definitely the right decision.
Mormon back onto the field. His last punt shanked. Covered only 13 yards. Big Pen standing back deep at his own 25. Big Pen from his 22. Trying to bounce to the outside. Big Pen going backwards. Nigel Bradham, the linebacker, making the stop for Buffalo. 50-yard punt. They dump him for a loss of 2.
Great coverage.
Thursday on CBS. Get ready for 3 times the laughs. It's a Miller's Marathon. Will Arnett, Margot Martindale, and Bo Bridges star in TV's #1 new comedy, The Millers. It all starts Thursday, 8:30, 7:30 Central, after The Big Bang Theory on CBS. So can Ryan Tannehill, Steve, get Miami's offense in gear? 3 possessions, 3 punts. Already he's been sacked twice. Daniel Thomas, the long setback. Tannehill works from the gun on 1st and 10 from the 20. Thomas will not get to the line of scrimmage. Kyle Williams, who had the sack earlier, dumping him for a loss of 3. And this was one of the big storylines, how Miami's front, Steve, would handle the starters up front for Buffalo, leading the league in sacks.
Yeah, and this is not good if you're a Tannehill Dolphins fan. Kyle Williams is he causes problems for everybody. But if you don't find a way to control he and Marcel Darius on the inside, it just frees up everything else for Buffalo on defense.
Williams, the 2-time Pro Bowler, former 5th-round pick out of LSU. 2nd and 13. Tannehill's pass incomplete. Off the hands of Wallace. Wallace has struggled early on, and Leotis McKelvin, who has had his, by far, best year, Steve, as a cover cornerback, on the deflection.
Yeah, he was always kind of looked at as a nickel corner, really a special teams guy, but he's established himself as a good, solid cover corner this year. Not any interceptions, but he's made a lot of plays on the ball in the air, earning that spot on the outside.
McKelvin, the 11th overall pick in 08. Starting to justify that big contract extension that he signed last March. 3rd and 13. Tannehill stepping up in the pocket. That pass fluttering up the sideline and incomplete. It was right on the fingertips of Hartline. Boy, Miami had a lot of real estate up the sideline, but again, in the rain, that catch tougher than it looks.
Great poise by Ryan Tannehill, buying time in the pocket, and right there, Hartline, great job on the scramble drill, gets behind Stephon Gilmore, and Hartline has got to make that catch. Tannehill knows it. That could be a touchdown. That ball should have been caught inbounds with Hartline going down the sideline.
So Hartline with a couple of drops in the early going. Ended the day with 925 yards receiving. Trying to get over 1,000 for a 2nd straight year. McKelvin, Miami's punt team, excellent coverage in this opening quarter. 37-yard punt. And McKelvin tackled for a loss of 1. Let's get you the updated playoff picture. We told you about Miami's scenario. They are in control of their own destiny. Win their final 2 games, and they're in. 3 teams in: Denver, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. And, of course, Baltimore, Miami, San Diego, Pittsburgh, all in the chase for that wild card spot. Cincinnati, of course, trying to get in as well with a division crown. As we take a look, Steve, at the immediate scenarios today, Miami can clinch with a win here and losses by both Baltimore and Cincinnati. They could be eliminated by the end of today if certain things don't go their way. Here's Goodwin, the rookie, tackled at the 40-yard line and taking down a couple of Dolphins sideline players with him. Back to New York and an update with James Brown.
Hey, Spiro and Steve, take a look here. Andy Dalton to A.J. Green, 29-yard strike. Ball dropped, as Steve Berline would say, in the basket. 10 plays, 90 yards. Cincy needs a win and a little help with a postseason spot. Let's take it back to Spiro and the Southern California guy. Hey, Spiro, did I hear Steve Berline say he likes playing in the cold?
No, it's all nonsense, JB. It's all nonsense.
I was a mutter. I didn't mind the cold at all. I wouldn't say I liked it, but I did not mind it that much. We got a hurt player on the field, too, Marquise Goodwin. A lot of attention being paid to him on the sideline. That rough tackle as he was going out of bounds.
Cole Nisi, the man who made the tackle, as they look at the rookie Goodwin on that Dolphin sideline. Stay with us. Injured Buffalo Bill is their rookie wide receiver, Marquise Goodwin, the young man out of Texas. Koamisi, Steve, on the tackle. And tough to see from that vantage point as they collide with a couple of Dolphins players, Steve, on that sideline.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what really happened there. There's no, that right there, the right foot kind of hit the ground in an awkward position. It looks like they're looking at his lower body, but would hate to speculate and be wrong here, so we won't do it. But watch the right foot right there. The second time, they both, there's no telling what it is. Good to see him up, getting off the field right now.
Well, Goodwin had a hamstring injury a couple of weeks ago. And the good news here is that he will kind of put a little bit of weight on it, Steve, as they help him towards the far side, to Buffalo's side of the field. And we will get an injury update on Goodwin as quickly as we can.
And this is a good young football player, Marquise Goodwin. 3 touchdowns this year, all of them of 40 yards or more. I know Thad Lewis told us on Friday he was excited to see him go. Not that he was excited that Stevie Johnson, obviously not here due to the death of his mother. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. But it was going to give Marquise Goodwin a chance to show himself on a full game basis. And this may take him out of that particular opportunity.
We wondered where the offense was going to come from today in such tough playing conditions, freezing rain temperatures, right around 35 degrees at kickoff, and so far just 3 combined first downs before that pass play. The tight end Lee Smith on the first down reception. They pick up 24.
Well, Lee Smith, great catch. But what I love about this play is Thad Lewis made a decision. Quickly, he knew that Philip Wheeler had his back to him, that he could throw that high back shoulder throw to his big tight end, and he put it in the perfect spot for a nice gain. That was a very good decision and throw by Thad Lewis.
Lewis today making his 4th start of the year, only the 5th start of his career. 1-2 till this point. That lone win coming against Miami back in week 7 down in South Florida. C.J. Spiller picking up a couple on first down, tackle made by Philip Wheeler. We had a chance to sit down with Thad Lewis on Friday. He said, we told you he grew up 4 miles away from Sun Life Stadium. All his buddies, his family members, all Dolphins fans. And he said they're rooting for Miami this week.
I couldn't believe
that. We thought he was kidding. He was serious.
He said family. They love the Dolphins so much. They were rooting for the Dolphins to beat the Bills today. I can't believe that. I've never heard anything so crazy.
This is 2nd and 6. Spiller on the screen pass. Forced out of bounds at the 30. Those fans wanting a penalty on the play. Wheeler a little bit physical on the sideline, and it will be 3rd down coming up.
Well, this is a good job by Thad Lewis getting through his progression. His check down on the outside was C.J. Spiller, and Philip Wheeler did get a little aggressive taking the legs out there on the sideline, but that's football. Not a problem with that whatsoever.
Frustrating year for C.J. Spiller. Steve did mention he's up over 700 yards on the year. Never quite recovered from that high ankle sprain that he sustained back in early October. Here's Freddie Jackson, has the first down and more inside the 20. Penalty marker comes in late. Rashad Jones on the tackle after a 14-yard run by Jackson, and we await the penalty.
Illegal motion. Offense, number 15, is going forward at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Chris Hogan, the culprit.
Yeah, they say he was going toward the line of scrimmage before the snap. If you're a motion player, you must come toward down the line of scrimmage or toward the backfield. You see right there. Let's see if he leans forward before the snap and does not get set. Yeah, you know, he was trying to get set, and that was Thad Lewis's fault. Thad Lewis has got to make sure that his receiver is set before snapping that football.
So after the penalty, the 14-yard first down run negated. This is 3rd and 9. Lewis finding Chandler for his first catch, and they do get the first down. Collided with Ellerby at the 20, 16 yards and a Buffalo first down.
Super job. You know, the thing I like about how he's playing right now is he's making good, quick decisions. This ball has got to be thrown right where it was, right when it was thrown, between Philip Wheeler and Donnell Ellerby. If that ball is not thrown exactly at that time to that spot, that ball is not completed, because that was pretty good defense.
So Miami needing a win today to keep their own destiny in their control. Down 3 at the end of 1 on CBS. Start of the second quarter here in Buffalo. Bills up 3-0 and driving. This will be the 6th play of the drive. We'll see what Lewis has done on the drive. Started just 1 of 7. But starting to put something together. This is 1st and 10 from the Dolphins 20. Screen pass to the rookie Woods. Unable to break that first tackle. Brent Grimes forced him out of bounds after a pickup of 3 yards. Lewis, Steve, starting to put some things together on this drive.
He is starting to put it together, but right there, that was a great tackle by Brent Grimes in the open field. His fundamentals on that play were so sound. A lot of times a young defensive back will go for the quick hit. He broke down, kept his balance, waited for Robert Woods to make a move, and then drove him out of bounds. Good job by the Pro Bowler Brent Grimes.
This is 2nd and 8. Back shoulder throw by Lewis, finds Jackson. Close to another Buffalo first down. He's about a yard short. Forced out of bounds by Grimes. Also Soliai coming back on a nifty little run by Jackson.
A little screen pass set up. Look at the lineman out in front there for Fred Jackson. You had 2 big boys, Eric Wood and Craig Urbick, out in front making blocks in the open field. I like the call. They're expecting, as you mentioned, Spiro, earlier, blitz on 2nd down from the Dolphins. Right there, that's a good call versus blitz. Nice pickup.
3rd and 1. They mark it at the 11th. Jackson needing to get to the 10. See where they spot it here. Looks to be a favorable spot, and it is a Buffalo first down. There's Doug Marrone, the Bronx-born head coach, 49 years of age. Maiden voyage as an NFL head coach. As emotional a head coach, Steve, as you'll find in the NFL, but such a likable guy. There's Ryan Tannehill on the other side of the field. Jackson, first down run, he's in! Touchdown! And Buffalo builds on its lead, 9-0.
Nothing fancy about this play. Just line up with 2 backs in the backfield. Little cross-back action by the fullback, and Fred Jackson, he sees a seam like that. He knows how to smell the end zone. He gets it across. Great job up front. You see the wall his lineman built there, Eric Wood, with the key block, sealing the pursuit from the right side, giving Fred Jackson that nice lane to finish it off. Great drive by the Buffalo Bills.
9-yard run by Jackson, his 8th rushing touchdown of the season. Point after good, and it's 10-0 Buffalo. So Freddie Jackson building on Buffalo's lead. He calls this the Incredible Hulk. 9-yard touchdown run by Freddie Jackson, and that is where we stand. 10-0 Buffalo, with Miami in some early trouble here. Early stages of the second quarter. Spiro Dinas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew with you. Update on rookie wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. in his ankle injury, and he will not return for Buffalo. So already thin without Stevie Johnson after the death of his mother. And now Goodwin done for the day. Thigpen is going to take a knee, and Ryan Tannehill will have it from the 20. This taking on a eerily similar start, I should say, to the first meeting, back on week 7, October the 20th. They were down 14-0, Steve, in the blink of an eye. That pick 6 by Nickel Roby, and then the strip sack late by Mario Williams. Kyle Williams falling on it, and then the game-winning field goal by Dan Carpenter. Joe Philbin said, boy, we blinked. We had 3 penalties in the first 6 minutes, the pick 6, and it really was Buffalo's game. Right now they're down 10 with the stakes a lot higher here in week 16. Tannehill on first and 10 over the middle, finds Wallace, so they finally hook up out past the 30, 12 yards, and a first down.
A nice job standing in the pocket right
There's
there.
a marker
flag down.
Holding, offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's the rookie Sam Brenner, undrafted out of Utah.
Yeah, he's got his hands full with Kyle. You're going to see right here in the screen there, blocking Kyle. The defensive lineman, if he's going to run free at your quarterback, don't let him take that shot. But Joe Philbin told us, he gave us some keys to this ball game. The first one he told us, Spiro, we got to get off to a fast start. We did not do that last time. This is not what he had in mind.
Second penalty on Miami. This is first and 20. Out of the backfield, it's Charles Clay trying to get to the original line of scrimmage at the 20, 9 yards through the air, and forced out of bounds by the safety, Jim Leonard, who is making the start today for Aaron Williams.
Well, if the Miami Dolphins offense, I think, really wants to get on track, I like what they did right there. You got to get Charles Clay involved. Find a way to get, he's the best matchup problem causer that you've got on your offense for the Buffalo Bills defense. Get him involved.
Look at the average yards per play. Miami's offense so far has put together absolutely nothing here. Down 10-0. Second and 10, Tannehill, another marker flying. A pass incomplete, trying to find Clay over the middle.
It's going to go against Buffalo.
Offside. Defense, number 94, is in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
It's Mario Williams.
Yeah, Mario Williams, you're going to see right at the bottom, at the end of the line of scrimmage there, just jumping a little bit, jumped the gun. They got him. It's a nice break for the Miami Dolphins. They get now in a good situation. 3 of Ryan Tannehill's completions have gone to Charles Clay to this point.
Tannehill from the shotgun, 2nd and 5. There's Miller cutting back out past the 25, lowering the shoulder. Getting his money's worth. Miami needing to get to the 30. And how about that tough run by Miller, the second-year guy out of Miami.
Well, good heads-up play by Ryan Tannehill right there. Now, the rules, a long time ago, quarterbacks would have gone down low because they don't want to take on those big defensive linemen. Manny Lawson right there coming at him. But if Ryan Tannehill would have gone low, the new rule emphasis this year is that that would be called a penalty if he went below the waist. So smart play by Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill, a former receiver in college at Texas A&M, 2 years, no stranger to throwing the block. Tannehill sacked for a 3rd time. Mario Williams, his 13th sack of the season, and Tannehill going backwards again.
Well, if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I am not flushing outside to Mario Williams' side. But where does it come from? Why is he flushing? We've been talking about the interior pressure from Kyle Williams and Marcel Darius. Those are the 2 guys that Buffalo, or that Miami really can't control right now, and that's forcing Tannehill out into the waiting arms of Mario Williams, Jerry Hughes, and company.
Tannehill was sacked 3 times in the first half last Sunday against New England. They've gotten to him 3 times so far in this game. That one takes a Miami bounce inside the 15-yard line. Excellent punt by Brandon Fields Officially a 66-yarder. And they will pin Lewis inside his own 15-yard line. Thad Lewis in Buffalo up 10-0 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Holiday savings on the gifts everyone wants. Quicken Loans, for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze. And by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
Keeping tabs on that Cincinnati-Minnesota game, a game that could directly impact Miami. 21-7 Bengals up as they play early in the second. Miami could be eliminated today. If they lose, Chargers lose, and both the Ravens and Bengals win. That's a lot of ifs, but certainly something that is very possible.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
It's Jared Odrick. Now, Steve, how do you explain Miami coming out and looking this flat? Obviously, the pass protection issues they've had all season long. How do they look to you?
Well, I don't know if I would use the word flat, although I think you could make a case for it. I just think that they're having a lot of trouble finding their rhythm right now. Both sides of the ball.
All 3 sacks of Tannehill have come on third down. This is 1st and 5 after the penalty. Minimal gain on that play. Steve, you said before the game in the open that you felt like Thad Lewis gave the Bills the best chance to win today under these circumstances against this Miami team. We know he beat them back in Week 7. How has he looked so far?
He's looked really solid, I think. You know, the stats, 6 of 12, 50%. These conditions, it's going to be hard to complete a lot of your balls, a high percentage of your balls, but he's making good decisions quickly, and he's being accurate with the football when the guys are open. He's missed a couple of shots, but I do believe right now for this game and for this team, he is the more consistent quarterback.
DJ Manuel out with the knee injury. Lewis on 2nd and 4, going over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Robert Woods. They have connected already once. Then if you've just joined us, no Stevie Johnson, no Marquise Goodwin, lost to an ankle injury earlier in the half.
He actually had a shot right here to complete that ball to Robert Woods. A little bit inaccurate out in front of him too much. If Thad Lewis puts that ball right on Robert Woods, which you got to do at this level when you get that kind of an open receiver out there, you got to make that throw.
Solid 59.
Woods not the burner that Goodwin is, but a very smooth route runner. Lewis just missed it. 3rd and 4. Over the middle, first down, Buffalo. That time looking up with Woods on the crossing route, 11 yards and a Buffalo first down.
Well, you're going strength on strength. I think Woods is probably considered your go-to guy right now with the Stevie Johnson out and Marquise Goodwin out, going right at the strength of the Miami Dolphins defense. Brent Grimes, arguably the best cornerback on this team.
See the discrepancy in first down so far. Lewis is a mobile quarterback, nowhere to throw. Picks up a couple with his legs. Out to the 35-yard line, a run of 4. Let's get you back to New York and an update with James Brown.
Since he smells the postseason. Really are, JB, and I'm multitasking right now, JB, aren't I? Matt Castle going to telegraph this pass, and it's going to be picked off by Vincent Ray. He's going to take it back 25 yards for a touchdown, 21-7, Cincinnati over the Bengals.
Spiro and Steve, Boomer was referencing the fact he was getting made up while doing the highlight. Back to Spiro and Steve.
I don't want to see Boomer without makeup anyway, so I don't mind that a bit. Looks like Cincinnati came ready to play.
There was a penalty on that last pass play, so the pass to Woods negated. A hold on Wood. Here is Spiller trying to get the yardage back. Sprinting up the sideline, forced out of bounds after a nice run. Jelani Jenkins, the backup middle linebacker, forced him out.
Well, good play call right here. Another screen pass out to the right, set up very well. That's one of the things that these Buffalo running backs do very well. Both C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson, they don't tip it and get antsy when they're running these screen passes. That's what sets it up. You let your lineman get out in front of you and use them to make a nice gain.
11-yard pickup that time by Spiller. Lewis started the game 1 of 7, 7 of his last 8. 2nd and 9. Dolphins coming. Lewis gets it away. He finds T.J. Graham, who had not had a catch in the last 3 weeks for Buffalo. 13 yards and another first down.
Well, good rhythm, good decision, put the ball right on the money. You see the stunt coming around from Miami. We knew from Buffalo coming in they were expecting pressure on second down. They got it right there on second down. They were ready for it, and they executed. Look at the total yards right now. Miami, 1/10 of the yards of the Buffalo Bills.
This is Freddie Jackson, first down, finds his seam, still going. Inside Miami territory, and another Buffalo first down as Jackson burns him for 13.
This 1-2 punch of Fred Jackson, C.J. Spiller, it puts a defense in a bind. They're two totally different style of running backs right there. Fred Jackson, no nonsense, gets up in that seam and just strong enough to rip through the arm tackles. Nice finish to the play. Another first down for Buffalo.
See what Jackson has done so far, had the touchdown run earlier. Jackson this time nowhere to run. And you have to think, Steve, with a 10-0 lead in these kinds of conditions, this Miami defense is going to get a heavy dose of Spiller and Jackson the rest of the way.
They are, and we're seeing a variety of different things that Doug Marrone and his offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, are springing on the Miami Dolphins defense, right? Another screen pass to C.J. Spiller. That was defended well by Philip Wheeler and Rashad Jones.
Hackett, the 33-year-old offensive coordinator whom Marrone brought here with him from Syracuse. 2nd and 10, and Lewis is intercepted. Nolan Carroll, who was a question mark today with a knee injury, getting it back for Miami as Lewis makes a huge mistake.
Pressure on second down leads to a big play for Miami.
Well, this playmaking Dolphins defense now a takeaway in every game that they've played this year. Only team in the NFL to do it. Nolan Carroll, 3rd interception of the season as he picks off Thad Lewis. Can that be the spark that Miami needed here down 10-0? Fake the handoff. Goes Tannehill finding Wallace. Out past the 30. Steve, as you take us back to the interception.
Yeah, we talk about second down pressure. Watch right here. This is Philip Wheeler. You got Olivier Vernon. And then you got off the side, you got Rashard Jones coming with pressure on the second down play. That frees up Paul Soliai for the pressure on Thad Lewis, which leads to the great interception by Nolan Carroll. The Bills are expecting pressure on second down. They got it, and they weren't ready for it. That's not excusable.
Miami has punted on every possession so far, looking for their first points. This is 2nd and 3. Thomas close to the first down marker, needing to get to the 36. Tackle made by Darius. Kiko Alonso on the tackle. Alonso, the 3rd leading tackler in the NFL. Talked to Mike Sherman about just how good this young man is. He said he equates him to a dog chasing a car, and he meant that as a very high compliment.
Well, he means that he's a rookie, and he's so high motor and so, just got that just wants to get to the ball so quickly that you can mess with him a little bit, I think. He's like a dog chasing that car down the street. He may go the wrong way once in a while, but he's going to be going full speed, and he's going to make a lot of plays.
Inches short. So Miami will be faced with a 3rd and short play here. And we will see what Mike Sherman dials up. There's Joe Philbin, their 2nd-year head coach. Sherman up in the press box here. 2 men whose relationship dates back to Central Massachusetts and the Worcester Academy Prep School there. Sherman at 24 years of age was an assistant on the football team. Philbin at 18 years of age was on the football team. He was a tight end and also had Sherman as his English teacher. Go back a long, long time, and they have Miami 2 wins away from the NFL playoffs. 3rd and short, Thomas.
I don't know.
Needed to get to the 36.
Looks like they might have got the spot, Spiro. That's a huge 3rd down play. If Miami comes away short on that play right there,
they got it.
They just barely got it. Good physical play up front by Buffalo right there. I don't know about that spot, but I know that Joe Philbin and the Dolphins are happy about it. They'll take that for sure. They don't want to go back and look at that one again.
Only the 2nd first down for Miami. This is 1st and 10 from the 36. Tannehill going towards the sideline. He and Hartline have not been able to hook up today.
Yeah, that's a flag.
And a late marker. Huge call against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Gilmore got there a little bit late.
No doubt about it. It was a defenseless receiver, uncatchable ball, clearly overthrown. No reason for Gilmore to make the hit. That's unnecessary roughness.
Well, Gilmore has been so good for Buffalo, coming back from the wrist surgery earlier in the year. Finally starting to look like his old self.
He is a great football player.
There is no foul on the play for unnecessary roughness. That brings up second down.
Well, I was thinking flag when I saw it happen. I was waiting for the referee to go to his pocket. The ball's overthrown.
Well, he did kind of barely pull up, Steve, at the end.
Yeah, but
look, we've seen penalties for far less than that.
Yeah, you're right, Spiro. He was trying to pull up. He was committed to making the tackle. He did not finish the tackle on the sideline. Look from here initially that he'd finished the tackle. I think it's probably the right call.
Gilmore missing the first 5 games after surgery on that wrist. With a very tough tape job. Basically had a club. Was playing with one hand his first couple of weeks back. 2nd and 10. Tannehill goes through his progressions, finds Wallace out past the 40 to the 45, brought down just short of the 50. 12-yard pass play and a big Miami first down. Well, fantasy football fans, keep the excitement going all postseason with Playoff Challenge, now with bigger cash prizes. See rules and sign up at cbssports.com/challenge.
You said it right there, Spiro, on that last play. That was a good job by Ryan Tannehill getting through his progression. They were looking for a big play on the outside. They did not get the coverage. He went through the progression, took his 3rd receiver. Nice conversion on him for their first down.
Tannehill 6 of 12, 1st and 10. This is Thomas. Get maybe a yard. A Miami team, Steve, at 8-6. A lot of people had him left for dead early in the year. That 4-game losing streak, late October, early November. Since then, 5 of 7 wins. And they are 2 wins away, in control of their own destiny.
And the last 2 weeks, they've made plays at the end of the game. Ryan Tannehill to win ball games. 7 of their 8 wins this year have been come from behind wins. So this is a team that doesn't get flustered. They'll hang in there as long as the game doesn't get out of hand. And they'll have a shot to win this thing at the end.
2nd and 9. It's caught, and another Miami first down. So Wallace, after a quiet start, starting to come on. A dozen more yards as they move the chains.
Protection seems to have solidified for Ryan Matthews in the pocket. Good job of getting off the line of scrimmage by Mike Wallace and getting physical at the top of the route with Leotis McKelvin, and a good throw and catch. Another first down.
Wallace frustrated earlier in the year with the lack of balls that were thrown his way. But Mike Sherman, in our conversation with him this week, said that Wallace has really matured, done a lot of growing up this season. He has come on here of late, his 4th reception of his first half. Tannehill on 1st and 10, finding Thomas. Thomas unable to make Bird miss. Bird and McKelvin combining on the tackle as we approach the 2-minute warning.
And by the way, as we do approach this 2-minute warning, Miami Dolphins have been one of the very best teams in the final 2 minutes of the first half this year. Only one team has scored more than them in the last 2 minutes of the first half. And guess what? The Buffalo Bills were the 2nd worst defense the final 2 minutes of the first half.
Buffalo will have possession to start the second half as Thomas loses yardage. Nickel Roby, who has made some awfully big plays of late for Buffalo, bringing him down for a loss. 2-minute warning. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Very similar start to this game to the one last week. They were down 10-0 late first half against New England. Mike Wallace, that long touchdown reception, and things started to turn for Miami. This is where they have been their best. As you saw that graphic, 2nd most points within 2 minutes of a half, behind only New Orleans in the NFL. 3rd and 8.
Pressure coming from Buffalo.
Tannehill never had a chance, and it's Roby again. 4th sack for Buffalo.
There's really no excuse for this. Ryan Tannehill and Miami saw before the snap that Buffalo was coming. There's Roby coming off the edge. He just timed it too well. Bryant McKinney was took too long getting out of his stance. I think it was a great job by Nikhil Roby of jumping the snap count. He must have had a real good fix on Ryan Tannehill's rhythm in that snap count because McKinney had no chance to get out on him.
Oh, this kid Roby can play, the rookie out of USC. What a playmaker he has become of late. Boy, Miami trying to keep it out of the end zone. That's a way to signal it will be a touchback. What a valiant effort that time by Jimmy Wilson, who almost got to it for the Dolphins. 10-0 Buffalo. Stay with us.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx. And by Bank of America.
Coming up, the Verizon halftime report will send you to New York. JB and the guys standing by to get you updated on all the different postseason scenarios around the league. The Verizon halftime report comes your way in just a couple of minutes. Minute 12 left in the half. First from 10, Lewis keeps it on the ground to Spiller. See, this was a recipe for disaster for Miami. They had allowed 51 sacks on the season. Buffalo leading the league in sacks coming in at 49.
Takes its second
and so far, their worst
timeout.
fears have been realized. Tannehill sacked 4 times, all 4 sacks coming on third down plays.
Yeah, we're still in the first half, and the Buffalo just padding their pressure stats. That's now 53 sacks on the season for them. And Ryan Tannehill, they're studying right now. I think they were on that last one. They knew the blitz was coming. I called it out. I could tell from up here they were coming with the blitz, but the timing by the Buffalo defense, Nikhil Roby really hit that thing on the run, and Joe Philbin, Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator Mike Sherman, they've got to talk to Ryan Tannehill about changing up his snap count a little bit, because if they can time those blitzes perfectly, it's very hard on those big linemen to get out and make the blocks.
This is 2nd and 7. Spiller again. This time loses yardage. Cameron Wake making his first tackle for a loss today.
Miami
We had a chance to sit down with Cameron yesterday. Says basically Miami's been in postseason mode for the last 6 weeks. And you talk about the pendulum swinging in the NFL week to week. They started off a national punchline, of course, the bullying scandal with Jonathan Martin, job security questions with Joe Philbin and Jeff Ireland, and then fast forward a month later, the 3 straight wins, and they are on the precipice of potentially a playoff berth. Yet right now, Steve, down 10-0, an obvious concern now for Joe Philbin in Miami.
And remember, too, this is a Dolphins team that started the season out 3-0. So people were excited to begin early part of the season as well. It's been a big-time roller coaster for them.
Spiller forced to the outside. If there was any doubt still that Joe Philbin could coach, those doubts have been dissipated with how he has pulled this franchise through some very dark moments with that bullying scandal. And that time Spiller, for some reason, Steve, ran out of bounds, and that stops the clock. Huge play for Miami.
C.J. Spiller knows better than this. And this play call, I think, should have been a different kind of play call, or at least emphasize to C.J. Spiller, if he gets near the sideline, slide. You do not want to give another stoppage of the clock to the Miami Dolphins, who are going to get pretty good field position here. C.J. Spiller, that ball should have been run up inside, force Miami to make a decision.
Warman has been a little bit shaky today. That time gets it to Thigpen at the 41. Miami is out of timeouts. And a 38-yard punt. Miami, or Buffalo rather, saying that Thigpen signaled for a fair catch. Looks like Mormon is shaken up.
There was no roughing the punter on the play. The punter was hit by his own player.
Well, did Thigpen signal for a fair catch? Steve, I didn't see it there.
No, I think what he was doing, Thigpen to me, we see what happened with Mormon. The referee said his own guy came through and hit him, but Thigpen, I think, was waving off his teammates, telling him to get out of the way. I got it. I have room. Might have confused the Buffalo Bills a little bit, but that's a huge play by C.J. Spiller not get out of bounds. That would have taken 40 more seconds off the clock.
Buffalo only took 27 seconds off the clock. First down pass play to Clay. Miami again out of timeouts. Boy, how huge would it be to get some points here? Keep in mind, Buffalo will have possession to start the second half.
Yeah, Miami should not have had more than 7 or 8 seconds left. They would have been throwing a Hail Mary.
Tannehill from the shotgun on 2nd and 4. Buffalo coming again. Tannehill deep down the field. It is incomplete. Intended for Wallace McKelvin on the tight coverage. It'll be 3rd and 4.
Well, Leotis McKelvin is celebrating, but I'll tell you what, Mike Wallace beat him like a drum and is behind him, and if Ryan Tannehill gets his ball out in front, it is a touchdown for Miami. They identified the right matchup. Nobody's going to catch Mike Wallace from behind. He had a step and a half on Leotis McKelvin. That ball was underthrown by Ryan Tannehill.
Well, Tannehill has missed a couple. His receivers have dropped a few. You think about the Brian Hartline potential catch up the sideline earlier. This hasn't gone Miami's way so far. Out of timeouts, 3rd and 4. Tannehill steps up in the pocket, and that one nearly picked. Off the hands of Gilmore, and then Hartline lunging for it. So 4th down here, and Miami will send out its punter.
Yeah, the frustration grows for Miami right there. And not a great throw again by Ryan Tannehill. Hartline pretty well blanketed by Stephon Gilmore, but there was a spot on the sideline maybe to try and squeeze that ball in there. It was a little bit behind Hartline again. Those two, Brian Hartline and Ryan Tannehill, usually on the same page. Today, definitely not the case.
Miami today, 56 total yards in this first half. 7 possessions. They've all ended with a punt. Angling punt by Fields. And that one lands into the end zone and a touchback for Miami. Another reminder coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. We'll send you to New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower with all the latest scores around the league on Week 16. The Verizon Halftime Report is coming up next.
Well, we'll see Buffalo take a knee here. 2 seconds left in the half. And Miami, all things considered, Spiro, they should consider themselves very lucky. You said 56 total yards in the first half, and they're only down 10-0. So definitely not insurmountable, but they got to come out and play better the second half.
Again, Buffalo will receive to start the second half as we reach halftime here at Ralph Wilson Stadium in Western New York. Not much to talk about for Ryan Tannehill and this Miami offense. Last week were held scoreless for the first 29 minutes, 28 seconds, and they are shut out here over the first 2 quarters in Buffalo. Still in control of their own destiny, but they'll have to kick it in gear. That's the end of the first half, 10-0 Buffalo. The Verizon Halftime Report comes your way next. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Here in rainy Buffalo, just about ready for the second half. 10-0 Buffalo in front. And in the second quarter, it was Freddie Jackson bringing the crowd to its feet. Football like you've never heard it, presented by Sonos. Hi everyone, welcome back to the NFL on CBS. Spiro Dedes alongside Steve Berline. 10-0, not exactly the first half that Joe Philbin envisioned, with everything, Steve, hanging in the balance in terms of the postseason. Just 56 yards of total offense. What did you see?
Well, it did not see much to get excited about if you're a Dolphins fan. Joe Philbin said that one of the keys, the most important key from his standpoint, was a fast start. Obviously, that did not happen. 56 total yards in the first half, and why is it? A lot of reasons. Ryan Tannehill not being protected, but he's had chances right there. Brian Hartline missed a perfectly thrown ball, and right here, that was one where Mike Wallace was behind Leotis McKelvin for a touchdown, in my opinion, late in the first half, and then right there, another chance at the end of the half to get a pass on the sideline. Just a little bit off with the rhythm and the timing and the accuracy. The numbers don't lie. 73 yards passing, but they've had 4 sacks as well. So only 56 total yards in the first half. Ryan Tannehill knows he needs to play better. This whole Miami team needs to play better. And defensively, it seems as though Buffalo has got a little bit of rhythm against the Miami defense too. So Miami is not only on offense. Buffalo has controlled the ball pretty well against their defense when you look at it both sides.
I told you the scenario for Miami. They win out these final 2 games today here in Buffalo, and then next weekend against the New York Jets, and they are in. Still in control of their own destiny. A team that has been perfect in the month of December, 3-0, after all the difficulties that they had earlier in the season. Thad Lewis making the start this afternoon for the injured E.J. Manuel. The rookie out today with a knee injury. And after a very slow start, Steve, one of his first 7 really finished strongly in the second quarter.
No doubt. Thad Lewis got some rhythm going. He made a bad decision at the end of the first half that gave Miami a chance. He threw an interception into pressure from Miami, but other than that, he's played pretty well.
This is Spiller. Spiller finds a seam out past the 25, and then again tackled by Chris Clemens and Philip Wheeler. Let's take a look at the first half possessions for Buffalo. We expected points to be at a premium today. 3 punts, the interception by Lewis, Steve, in the second quarter.
You know, only 2 3 and outs. In these conditions, I think that's pretty good when you look at all things that they're sustaining, making first downs. They'd like to have more than 10 points to show for it, but they've actually, the field position game is kind of leaned toward Miami, so they've had that working against them as Buffalo as well.
There's Spiller, 2nd and 4. If you've just joined us, we had freezing rain earlier. It's been raining here all week. Temperatures right around the freezing mark. It's something that Buffalo hoped to work in its favor. Although the temperatures, Steve, a little bit more mild here than you expect in Western New York at this time of year. Still very difficult conditions for a quarterback playing in the rain.
And the wind's blowing as well, which you always seem to find here in Buffalo, in this stadium. The wind coming through always is going to play a factor.
Buffalo today not only playing without Manuel, also no Stevie Johnson after the passing of his mother last weekend. First down pass play, T.J. Graham, 14 yards. They move the chains. Also, Marquise Goodwin, their rookie wide receiver, lost for the game in the first half with an ankle.
One of the things you look for if you're a playoff caliber team, which the Dolphins are coming into this game looking at themselves as that, the defense has to step up when the opportunity is there. They got to set the tone for the second half. A 3 and out right there would have been a good message to their offense. Didn't happen.
Lewis never saw the pressure coming. It's Carroll. Had the interception in the first half, and that time lighten up Lewis from the blind side.
Well, that Nolan Carroll just timed that perfectly. He shook himself up a little bit. You're going to see him coming off the edge. Thad Lewis had no idea. Here he is right here, coming off the backside. The corner blitz. Boy, quarterback half of play action, you've got to be aware of that corner on the backside all the time. That's the only thing. Hard play action to the strong side. That is the only thing that can really screw that kind of a play up, and it sure did right there for Buffalo.
You know you've hit a guy hard when you've hurt yourself. As Nolan Carroll now being looked at by that Miami training staff. Early timeout in the second half. After the sack of Thad Lewis, they marked the football at the 35-yard line. Nolan Carroll walking off on his own power, appeared to be clutching in his ribs. This is Spiller on 2nd and long. Make it Jackson, rather. Jackson out past the 40 to the 45, brought down after a pickup of 13 yards close to a Buffalo first down. Another look, Steve, at that sack.
Carroll comes back in. What happened? He came in clean, and the collision, it looked as though maybe he lost his wind, got his ribs bumped up a little bit or something. You can see right there he went down. That's not a good feeling, folks, when you can't get that air you're looking for. We're good to see him back out on the field now.
Another story with this Miami secondary beaten up last week with the injuries. Lost Carroll, lost Grimes, and then the man of the hour, Michael Thomas, playing the role of hero late. Lewis's pass intended for Graham a little bit short. And we've seen both quarterbacks, Steve, miss a number of throws as Buffalo forced the punt.
And Thad Lewis comes off pumping himself in the chest, knowing that he really messed that up. He took the sack. They got a good second down run by Fred Jackson to pick up about 13, 14 yards to give him a 3rd and short. And right there, Thad Lewis had an open receiver on the outside and missed him. That's not a good drive for the young quarterback out of Duke.
This is the start that Miami wanted. Field position not in their favor at the moment, but they're able to hold for that first possession of the second half. And this punt by Mormon takes a Miami bounce into the end zone. 52-yard punt. Ryan Tannehill and company down 10 onto the field next.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The new Intel-powered 2-in-1s. Intel. Look inside. And by State Farm. It pays to double-check. Talk to your agent today.
Well, Miami's offense was 56 yards of total offense in the first half. Lowest output since last November 15th, the game played here in Buffalo. A game won by the Bills. First and 10. This is Miller. Miami's offense in the first half couldn't pass it, Steve. They couldn't run it. And Buffalo got to Tannehill 4 times.
Yeah, just complete mismatch up front. A lot of times they're right there. Kyle Williams really the one causing problems. Marcel Darius inside as well, but there were some awareness problems right there. The blitz off the side. Bryant McKinnie wasn't able to get out of his stance quickly enough to stop Nickel Roby. But in general, Buffalo is dominating up front, and that's what's been causing Miami problems.
Really, that no surprise. How dominant Buffalo's defensive front has been all season. Second and 7. Tannehill going down again.
Jerry Hughes off the edge. Pressure off of both sides. You're going to see Jerry Hughes coming from the backside of Ryan Tannehill, just beating Bryant McKinnie around the edge. Nothing fancy, just more athletic. Got underneath him. Mario Williams is also coming off the front side. Jerry Hughes, that's his 10th sack of the year.
Hughes, the perfect complement this season to Mario Williams, acquired in the deal with the Colts for Kelvin Shepard. They dumped Tannehill for 8. 3rd and 15. Over the middle, and that one nearly picked. In and out of the hands of Gilmore. Had the beat on it. And Miami very fortunate to punt.
Yeah, you know, we talked to Brian Hartline about Stephon Gilmore, and he basically told us that Stephon Gilmore to him is really a pain in the you-know-what. And right there's a reason why. He is one of the very, very best clever corners in the NFL. I've always liked the way he's played the game. Physical, bump and run, and he will get after it with you. Hartline knew it coming in, and he lost that battle that time.
Gilmore, Buffalo's first-round pick in 2012. McKelvin bobbles another punt. Rolls all the way back to the 10. Going to try to pick up some lost yardage, brought down at the 16-yard line. Boy, he has been awfully shaky with the punts over the last couple of weeks. Second fumble today, second recovery, as Buffalo leads Miami here 10-0. Well, not the kind of score that Miami was hoping for today. Cincinnati up 35-7.
Mike 59.
Told you about the playoff scenarios. Miami entered the day with a chance to clinch that could also be eliminated if certain things go against them. C.J. Spiller on 1st and 10 going nowhere. One thing we know, Steve, about Miami, they just play close games. 10 of their 14 games this year decided by 1 score or less. You see there the postseason scenario that could have clinched today with a win here, and losses by both Baltimore and Cincinnati. But boy, did the Bengals show up today convincingly.
Bengals showed up, and Miami hasn't to this point. So that's 2 of the 3 things they needed in the scenario that would have allowed them to clinch. But I don't think that's going to happen today.
2nd and 10. Fred Jackson out past the 20. They are a battle-tested team. Cameron Wake telling us they've been in postseason mode. As we get some pushing after the final whistle, the penalty marker comes in late.
Getting a little chippy out there. Robert Woods right in the middle of it, the rookie out of Southern Cal. They said they're throwing him out of the game.
Boy, if they lost Woods here, they'll be down their 3rd wide receiver. Already have lost Marquise Goodwin to an ankle injury.
Now the referees have to talk through this, because you can't make a hasty decision as significant as that.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Offense number 10. He threw a punch at an opponent. Therefore, by rule, he is ejected. It's a 15-yard penalty. And 3rd down.
Woods just lost his cool.
Well, a lot of times in a situation like that, it is the second guy that gets nailed. Let's see what happened. You see number 10 right there. He's engaged and blocking right there with Rashad Jones, and the play finishes with Jones driving him on top of the pile.
Right there, you see the right-handed punch.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you could really call that a punch.
It was close-fisted.
Well, it was, I mean...
He didn't land it very well.
No, it was his forearm that hit him in the face, and it wasn't a finished punch, but the referees are always going to err on the side of caution, and a blow to the head like that, intentional, is probably going to be called.
So a huge turn of events here. Spiller on 3rd and 22, just trying to get some yardage back. So the Buffalo Bills, we told you about Stevie Johnson's absence. Marquise Goodwin, their other rookie wide receiver, lost to an ankle injury earlier. And now their 4th leading receiver, Robert Woods, the other rookie, ejected for throwing a punch.
Yeah, that's a disastrous situation for the Buffalo Bills. Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator, Doug Marrone, got to be very concerned. It's going to be heavy on the tight ends now. You're going to see more of Lee Smith and Chris Gregg along with Scott Chandler out there, because you really only have 3 receivers, probably only 2 that you have confidence in Chris Hogan and TJ Graham.
Hogan, the first-year player out of Monmouth in New Jersey. Down another muff punt. This time Big Pen falls on it. We talked about the swirling winds, the unpredictable winds playing in the stadium. Steve, you got a lot of experience.
Do not think that's coincidence. That is due to the elements, big time.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Well, the wind's whipping through Ralph Wilson Stadium here, wreaking havoc with the punters. We've had 3 fumbled punts, all recovered by the punt return man. Look at Miami's offense. 8 possessions, 8 punts. They've had 6 3-and-outs.
Well, that is horrendous.
This is Tannehill from the shotgun. To the outside, it's Rashard Matthews. Haven't called his name much today. Matthews 8 yards, close to a Miami first down. Busy day in Week 16. Let's go to New York in an update.
Redskins capitalize on the turnover.
The second one, the second half, JB. This time it's going to be a Tony Romo interception trying to throw the ball at Des Bryant. He slips. D'Angelo Hall steps right in front. This leads to an Alfred Morris touchdown. Redskins are leading 20-14.
D'Angelo's had a good season. Spiro and Steve.
Well, it's that time of year again for Tony Romo in Dallas, trying to avert disaster. 2nd and 1 play, and the officials say that Miami does have enough yardage with Thomas and a first down.
You saw Marcel Darius right there getting up, rubbing his belly, saying that tasted pretty good. Got himself a little bit of Thomas. And I'll tell you, this Buffalo defensive front is as stout as any in the NFL. And I think running right at him is a mistake. You got to find ways to misdirection, quick passes on the outside. That's how you're going to move the ball.
1st and 10. Tannehill goes play action over the middle, incomplete again. Ryan Hartline really struggling today. Already a drop earlier, and this one right in his breadbasket.
You know what the issue is here, Spiro? Watch how he stops to catch the ball. He stops and waits for it right there. What does that do? That allowed Stephon Gilmore to get his hand in there. Hartline does what an experienced receiver is supposed to do right there. Keep coming back to the football. He makes that catch.
Hartline approaching his 2nd straight season of 1,000 yards. 2nd and 10. Daniel Thomas. And Buffalo's front holds again. Nigel Bradham getting there first. And Miami just cannot run the football, at least so far, against this defense.
And Nigel Bradham and Stephon Charles, everybody, seems like every play somebody else is stepping up for this Buffalo defense. Their intensity is much greater right now than the Miami Dolphins is up front.
Thomas today, 9 carries for 6 yards.
You've got one-on-one coverage right here on the outside. Mike Wallace, your big money guy, has got to make a play.
Lined up against McKelvin on 3rd and 10. Buffalo coming again. Tannehill eludes the sack, but threw it out of bounds. It was Roby again coming from the blind side. And that time Stevie saw him, but again, Miami will punt.
Yeah, that pressure again coming clean off the edge. I think that was Nickel Roby again off the edge behind Ryan Tannehill. Also coming in there was Ron Brooks, number 33. Miami not doing a good job of picking up those free blitzers from the defensive secondary of Buffalo.
Kelvin back deep. And a busy day continues for Brandon Fields. Kelvin watches it bounce inside the 10. And Fields sticks it perfectly for Miami. 50-yard punt. And an enormous special teams play for the Dolphins. Tuesday on CBS, now's the time to catch up on episodes of Person of Interest. Jim Caviezel and Michael Emerson star Tuesday, 10/9 Central, only CBS.
Well, Spiro, the way things are going right now for Miami, this is a huge defensive opportunity to really make a difference in this ball game right now. If you can keep Buffalo pinned back deep, hold them to a 3-and-out, and then force them to punt the ball out of their own end zone, you're going to give your offensive ball somewhere around midfield, probably on the Buffalo side of the 50, and then that offense comes out on the field and knows we have got to cash in on this opportunity. The defense has to do their job right now, though.
Miami, that breakthrough win last Sunday at home against New England. Right now down 10-0. Spiller unable to find the outside, forced out of bounds by Carroll. And the clock stopped at 6:11 left in this third quarter, and Miami down 10.
All right, now you got them on second long. Look at that. You think the wind is not a factor down there in the field. Those referees, when they stand still, their striped pants, those new sweatpants they wear, are really whipping when that wind gets going down there.
Thad Lewis under center on 2nd and 9. Spiller getting close to the 10. Now, one thing about Buffalo, Steve, they're not going to put a lot of points on the board. So if you're Miami, you're going to hang close. But at some point,
holding,
their offense needs a breakthrough penalty on Buffalo.
Half a distance to the goal line. Still second down.
Yeah, this is a huge third down play.
Miami elects to decline the penalty. Brings up third down.
And that's the right call for Miami for sure. Joe Philbin, no reason to accept that penalty. You've got him backed up 3rd and long as it is. Don't give him 2 downs to make it. You know that Doug Marrone has got to be very concerned right now, backed up in his own end zone. A young quarterback, and you see their 3rd down conversions not very good this year. They're number 29 in the NFL coming into the game.
Doug Marrone, a one-time member of the Dolphins. 1987 season, brief NFL career.
You got to figure he's going to be very conservative in this situation with the quarterback with the lead and backed up in his own end zone.
Fred Jackson lines up in the backfield alongside Lewis on 3rd and 5. Lewis going to run it. Slides past the 10. Well short of the first down marker. Randy Starks credited with the tackle and another penalty marker.
This could be disastrous for Miami.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense,
oh boy.
Number 52. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Inexcusable. Philip Wheeler penalized.
Well, we're going to see Philip Wheeler right here on the left side of the screen. He goes to the head. Face mask on Chandler as he's trying to get off the line. Was it major? No, it was not major. Was it a penalty? Yes, it was a penalty. And Joe Philbin can just shake his head in amazement. That was the 3-and-out they needed right there.
Well, still a lot of football left, but if Miami loses this game, that's a play that Joe Philbin will talk about tomorrow morning. Chance to get off the field with his defense, a short field for Ryan Tannehill. And instead you give him a fresh set of downs.
Exactly right.
First down, Buffalo.
Those are huge difference makers in the ball game. You know, the hidden yardage and the hidden key incidents like that throughout the course of a ball game that really determine the shape of the game.
Fisher's having a rough time marking the football down. He's blowing off the spot. First and 10 after the penalty from the 15. This time Buffalo picks up the blitz. It's Chris Hogan breaking a tackle out past the 20. And suddenly Hogan, the young kid from Monmouth, first-year player, thrust into a more prominent role, Steve, with this receiving core suddenly depleted. No Stevie Johnson, Robert Woods ejected, and they lost Marquise Goodwin in the first half to an ankle.
Well, if you are Chris Hogan, this is your opportunity. You wait for these chances to come up and establish yourself. And right there, he does a good job making a nice play.
2nd and 6. Lewis taking everyone out past the 25, sliding to the 27. Resourceful play by Lewis. 5 yards.
This is
and a Buffalo first down.
True read option, Spiro, right there. You saw number 91 crashing in, Cameron Wake off the side, the left side of that Miami defense, and that's all Thad Lewis is looking at. If he crashes down to take the running back, Thad Lewis pulls that ball and runs for a nice conversion.
Thad Lewis entered the NFL back in 2010, undrafted free agent with St. Louis. Today making his 4th start as a Buffalo Bill, only the 5th start of his brief NFL career, 1-2, with that lone win coming back in Week 7 in Miami. He's a Miami kid, grew up 4 miles outside Sun Lake Stadium, and right now has Buffalo in front 10-0 as we approach 3 minutes left in the 3rd. Spiller out past the 30, forced out of bounds. 5-yard run by Spiller. Clock continues to run. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, Spiller, there's a definite difference in style between he and Fred Jackson. You can tell C.J. Spiller likes to get to the sideline, likes to get outside, and it seems as though Miami's got a pretty good feel when he's in the game. They're going to string him to the sideline. They've had a little bit more trouble tackling Fred Jackson up inside.
Can Miami's defense get off the field? 3rd and 4. It is caught by Hogan. Right at the 35, needed to get to the 36. And they give him a favorable spot. He may have enough. First down, Buffalo.
They're giving it to him. I was about to call out Chris Hogan. I thought that he made a young receiver mistake. Number 15, you see right there, he's got to know where that down marker is. To me, that was a very favorable spot. And Chris Hogan, I think, was really a little bit short of that first down, but they got the favorable spot, gave it to him.
First and 10 play. Jackson across the 40. Thad Lewis said he calls Chris Hogan 7-11. He's always open.
That's right.
And a big pass play there. With suddenly a need now wide receiver for Buffalo. Clock continues to run. Valuable time coming off. You see the current drive for Buffalo. This will be the 10th play.
Enabled by the huge penalty against Philip Wheeler on 3rd down when Buffalo was backed up and going into the field.
Second and 4. Play action over the middle. It's Chandler. Big first down play inside Miami territory to the 40. 17 yards through the air.
Nice play call. Off the play action, the read option fake gets that defense coming. You see right there, Brent Grimes, actually it was Jimmy Wilson, number 27, coming up to support against the read option. And sure enough, right behind him is Chandler, wide open.
Lewis going to keep it himself across the 40. Down to the 38-yard line of Miami with under a minute left. And Buffalo in no hurry here. In front 10-0.
Now this is exactly what the doctor ordered. If you're Doug Marrone and the Buffalo Bills right now, just keep that clock burning. Keep Miami on the sidelines offensively, and preferably come away with another field goal or a touchdown here.
2nd and 8. Lewis under pressure. His mobility getting him out of trouble. Brought down at the 32, picks up 6. And that will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Miami had 56 yards total offense in the first half. They had 6 in that 3rd quarter. 10-0. We'll return to Buffalo after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. All goose eggs for Miami, down 10-0 here in Buffalo as we start the fourth quarter. Week 16, Miami entered the day in control of its own destiny, needing to win out these final two games today here and then next week against the Jets. Buffalo trying to play the role of spoiler.
This is a huge third down score. Miami has got to make this stop. You don't want this to become a 13.2 touchdown game for your offense struggling so much.
3rd and 3. Jackson inside the 30, and he's got it. 6 yards and a huge first down for Buffalo.
That's one nail in the coffin right there for Miami. Not that this game's over by any stretch, but right there, you make that conversion when Miami has to have the stop. That is not a good sign for Miami.
1st and 10, they mark it at the 27. Jackson across the 25, lunges forward towards the 20. Steve, you think of everything that Miami has been through this year. You mentioned the 3-0 start, then they lose 4 straight, the whole bullying scandal that really had engulfed the country, all the national headlines day in, day out. Now currently 3 straight wins. Yeah, this should be realistic. You're only down 10, backup quarterback at the helm for Buffalo, but you just don't like the body language, and only 62 yards of total offense through 3.
And giving up that third down conversion, not only does it eat more time off the clock, but you're now definitely in field goal range, and another big run by Fred Jackson.
Inside the 10, it'll be 1st and goal for Buffalo. 13 more yards as they move the chains.
Now, you're going to see the left side of this offensive line for the Buffalo Bills. Cordy Glenn, Doug Legursky. Also, big tight ends getting out there and just getting physical with Miami. There's no, I've been saying it all day that Fred Jackson between the tackles has been the most effective way for Buffalo to run. If I'm Miami right now, Spiro, though, I almost let him score a touchdown right now. Actually, no, I don't. Take that back. You don't want to give him a touchdown, then it becomes
the clock is their enemy at this
three-score game.
Clock continues to run inside of 14 minutes remaining. You know, in these kinds of conditions and against this defense, you fall behind by 3 scores.
Yeah,
you're in some trouble.
I was thinking it would still be a two-score game, but 17-0 in my math. That's a 3-score game.
Steve, look at the current drive. 16 plays, nearly 90 yards, and look at all the time that they've chewed up.
Working on 9 minutes. It's just a thing of beauty if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Exact opposite if you're a Dolphins fan.
2nd down, goal to go. Jackson brought down from behind. Tackle made by Derek Shelby, who has had a solid year as a backup for that Miami front. And Dolphin fans kind of squirming in their seats. Ryan Tannehill had to sit through that late drive last Sunday as Tom Brady and the Patriots came up short. And time of possession, one of the major storylines so far.
Yeah, Buffalo's an up-tempo team normally, but they're definitely not trying to hurry it right now.
3rd and goal. Lewis incomplete. Right through the hands of Chandler. Tough to make that catch. It's a slippery ball. And Miami dodges a bullet.
I'm not going to question the play call here, Spiro. You know, I understand why you want to go to Scott Chandler. He's one of the best, most productive tight ends in the NFL, but you've been running the ball pretty darn well this drive, right at the Miami Dolphins. Spread the field. Fred Jackson has been doing a great job making positive yards, carrying defenders with you. I think that good call, percentage call right there would have been to run it up inside and run up some more time off the clock if you don't make it.
Carpenter from 20. And it's good. So Buffalo able to salvage the 3 points, up 13 early in the 4th. There's the hero from last Sunday, Michael Thomas, AFC's Defensive Player of the Week. He was a stranger in his own locker room before those 2 miraculous late defensive plays to seal it against the Patriots. Who steps up today for Miami?
You know, one thing I think we're going to see from this point forward from Miami, I think they're going to go no huddle up tempo. That's where Ryan Tannehill has had the most success consistently this year, and they need to, in the interest of time, do that.
This is Charles Clay on a one-handed stab at it, and he's going nowhere. Chris Hogan, their backup wide receiver, with a big special teams tackle. ugly statistical day for Miami, down 13-0. Just under 12 minutes left in the fourth. And now Steve pinned back deep on their own side of the field. 1st and 10 from just outside of the 11.
I still think even given this situation backed up, I think you got to change the tempo. You get a completion, go no huddle, try and get the ball moving.
See the time of possession, 9 minutes, favoring Buffalo. Tannehill, little pump fake, nowhere to throw, sacked. Penalty marker coming in late, behind the line of scrimmage. It was Kyle Williams getting there, and if it stands, it's the 6th sack of Tannehill.
He's hurt.
Oh boy, as if Miami's day couldn't get any worse. Tannehill looks like he's hurt.
So they have an experienced backup in Matt Moore warming up on the sidelines.
There is Moore, the 7th-year quarterback out of Oregon State. Free agent signing back in 2011. As we take another look at the hit on Tannehill.
It was actually Kyle Williams again, and it looked like he just got his legs rolled
Personal
up.
foul, unnecessary roughness. Offense, number 78, low to the head of the defender. That penalty is declined, brings up 2nd down.
Wow, it just can't get any worse. As you see Tannehill hobbling off the field. There's
Second
McKinney
penalty
right
on
there.
McKinney.
Well, you know, there is such a thing as defensive holding too, and that's one of the things that we were told by the Miami Dolphins, or by the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that the Miami Dolphins do have a tendency to hold right there. Mario Williams actually was holding Bryant McKinney, not allowing him to get outside to make that pickup on Kyle Williams.
So here is Matt Moore, veteran with a lot of experience, but he has not attempted a pass this season. 2nd and 14 from inside the 10. Long air to the outside line, incomplete, in and out of the hands of Matthews. It'll be 3rd and long.
Good coverage by Jarris Bird right there. See, not a badly thrown ball by Matt Moore. That's impressive to come out cold off the bench and put a ball in there over the top. Just a little bit out of the reach of Rashard Matthews.
Tannehill still being looked at on the Miami sideline. So here's Matt Moore. First 4 years of the NFL of his career in Carolina, last couple in Miami. Extremely tough set of circumstances here as we get markers coming in from the backside.
False start. Offense, number 74, half the distance to the goal line. Still 3rd down.
That's John Jerry.
These are good fans in Buffalo. Even when the team is down, these people know how to support their team. They make a lot of noise, and nothing is more difficult than being backed up away on the road in a loud stadium. Hard to hear your quarterback. John Jerry got nailed right there.
Miami 1 of 10 on 3rd downs today. Moore from his own end zone. Deep down the field, he's got hardline. Inside Buffalo territory as Matt Moore pulling the Dolphins back off the ledge. 49 yards as they got Gilmore.
Wow, what a great throw into the wind, and Hartline does a great job. They catch Stephon Gilmore cheating, and Matt Moore backed up 3rd and 18 over the top for the huge gain. What a great throw and catch by Matt Moore to Brian Hartline.
Officially a 50-yard pass play. And Miami breathing life into its cause. Moore over the middle, and he's intercepted. Picked off by Leonard. Jim Leonard making the start for the injured Aaron Williams with an enormous defensive play.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bose. the official home audio sponsor of the NFL. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Walmart. Walmart's got the season's hottest gifts at everyday low prices. Come in and see for yourself.
Ryan Tannehill's still trying to work through that apparent knee injury. We're told his return is questionable at this point. And Steve, just when you thought
He's on the edge.
Matt Moore may have something going after the 50-yard bomb to Hartline, he's picked off by Leonard.
Yep, just a bad decision. Great play by Jim Leonard.
First turnover of the day for Miami. Here comes Spiller, breaking tackles all over the place, and finally forced out at the 25. What a run by Spiller, 23 yards for a Buffalo first down.
Truly is a great run by C.J. Spiller. Up inside this time, but what I'd like to see is, what do you think, Spiro? At the end of this play, what should he do? Don't let him knock you out of bounds. Turn it up the field, get what you can get, keep that clock running. That's a mistake by C.J. Spiller. Not that it's going to have an impact on this ball game, but I think you try and stay in bounds.
Clock is still moving, so a break for Buffalo as we go under 10 minutes to play here in the fourth. First and 10 from the 25. Keep it on the ground again. Spiller close to the 20. Well, here's the play in the injury to the knee of Tannehill. Sacked by Kyle Williams, Steve, and he comes up lame at the end.
Well, if there's an MVP for Buffalo, it is the play of Kyle Williams. You see his right knee got kind of rolled underneath him. That's a lot of weight coming down on that knee. He's kind of torquing it a little bit. It looks as though Ryan Tannehill's planning on coming back into the ball game, which is encouraging.
Tannehill has missed a couple of throws in this game, but they just never gave him much of a chance. 5 sacks by the Buffalo defense. Spiller, breakaway speed to the outside, forced out. Another Buffalo first down as we head back to New York in an update with James Brown.
Denver with incentive.
That's right. Peyton's going to throw his 49 touchdown pass right here. 10 yards to Eric Decker. They take the lead 23-10. If they win and Kansas City loses, they win the AFC West and guarantee a first-round bye.
All right, back to Spiro and Steve.
Well, still so much left to be decided, so a 10-point lead there for Denver. I told you about the implications for Miami, their scenario coming into today. In control of their own destiny, but that could be coming to a close here. Down 13 with 8.5 left. Jackson. Steve, not only churning out yardage, but they are running that clock down. Up by 2 scores.
They're doing what a team should do in their situation, and they've had a lot of success running between the tackles today against the Miami Dolphins. And with this 13-point lead, that's exactly what they should do.
2nd and 5, Jackson with a spin move brought down at the line of scrimmage. As we come up on 8 minutes to play. This is a Buffalo team missing out on the postseason for the 14th straight year. It's the longest drought in the NFL. So many heartbreaking losses. You see a look at the time of possession. 4 losses by Doug Marrone's Bills by 7 points or less. 2 losses in overtime. You see on the sideline, Miami's coaching staff just trying to figure out if Tannehill can play. 3rd and 2. Needed to get to the 3. That's Jackson. We'll see where they're spotted. Clock still moving.
It looks like it's just short. They're going to kick the field goal.
There's Cincinnati, 42-14. So that means if Miami loses here, Cincinnati's going to win. If Baltimore wins later today against New England, and if San Diego loses this afternoon, that means Miami could be eliminated, Steve, by the end of tonight.
Yeah, 2 of the worst nightmare scenarios are taking place right now. Cincinnati winning and Miami losing.
This will be a 22-yarder. Carpenter, the former Dolphin. That one perfectly through as Buffalo adds on to its lead. 16-0 and time running out on Tannehill and the Dolphins. Well, a day that started with so much excitement for Miami, in control of their own destiny. Suddenly Ryan Tannehill going down with an apparent knee injury, right leg, and now down 16-0 here with 6:43 left.
Not able to tell if he's expecting to come back in right now or not. He doesn't have his helmet on. So we'll know very shortly here what the deal is with Tannehill.
Tannehill sacked for the 5th time earlier in the 4th by Kyle Williams, who came down with all of his weight on that right leg of Tannehill. Here's Big Pen from his own end zone, cuts across the field, across the 20 to the 30, and run out of bounds by Carpenter inside the 35-yard line. So who will be the quarterback here for Miami? Looks like it'll be Tannehill. There's a penalty marker thrown.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Return team, number 18. Penalty's half the distance to the goal line.
Jeez.
First down, Miami.
That's Rashard Matthews, the wide receiver, and they just cannot get out of their own way. We'll see if Tannehill comes onto the field when we come back. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T-Mobile. Unleash. And by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K.
Well, you see the last 4 possessions for Miami. Ryan Tannehill is onto the field. So he's going to try to grit it through with that right knee injury, sacked for the 6th time earlier by Kyle Williams. Miami down 16-0, 6:35 left. They've got all 3 timeouts. We have seen Tannehill work his magic before. Can he do it one more time? Tannehill from the end zone, incomplete. Thomas hearing the footsteps. Jerry Hughes coming with the pressure on Tannehill, and it'll be 2nd and 10. Coming up next, the playoff pulse beats out a big one featuring Tom Brady and the Patriots in Baltimore as the Ravens fight for their playoff lives. Can Brady and company rebound? And then, of course, the big one with Oakland in San Diego, a game that directly impacts Miami as well. 2nd and 10 from inside the 10.
And Miami just seems to be on their heels right now.
Tannehill's going to air it out. He's got a man, and it's incomplete. Mike Wallace had this step on Jairus Byrd, but Tannehill missed him.
It was actually Otis McKelvin running with up the field. There you see Mike Wallace showing that speed up the field over the top. And Ryan Tannehill does a good job getting it outside, still under pressure one more time. But that's a play, you want to give your big speed guy a chance on the outside. They had a chance. Mike Wallace just couldn't get it in gear enough to run that one down.
2nd time that McKelvin has been beaten, but Tannehill has missed the throw. 3rd and 10. Here they come again. Tannehill evading the safety, throws it out of bounds. Nickel Roby, Steve. Not sure he can wreak any more havoc than he has on this Miami offense coming hard on the blitz.
Well, this exotic 3rd down blitz package that has been designed by Mike Pettin has not been able to be even close to being solved by this Miami offense. Nickel Roby has come clean on Ryan Tannehill in 3rd down situations at least 3 or 4 times today, and he's caused a lot of problems for Miami because of it.
Mike Pettin, the 4th defensive coordinator here in Buffalo in the last 5 years. Coming over from Rex Ryan, that aggressive school of defense. Miami has had no answers, down 16-0.
Well, you talk about that Baltimore-New England game, Spiro, you mentioned that, and a loss here for the Miami Dolphins gives New England the AFC East championship. As we look at Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Also a win by Cincinnati and a loss by Miami guarantees Cincinnati a playoff spot as well.
Loss here by Miami guarantees the AFC East crown as well to New England.
Yep.
As Steve pointed out earlier. Steve, there were a lot of people concerned in Miami about the emotional letdown, that huge win. They finally break through, beat Brady and the Patriots last Sunday. And even with everything at stake, you had to be concerned about how they would come out. You're throwing the elements, the freezing rain, the wind here. A very stingy Buffalo defense, and it really has been a perfect storm for disaster so far for Joe Philbin and the Dolphins.
You're right, Spiro. And I don't believe this is a case of Joe Philbin not having his team ready to play. I believe that this defense on the front side, you know, the front four and the pressure schemes that Buffalo has, really has just been they've been overmatched against the Miami Dolphins offense. They have not been able to stand up to the challenge. Sam Brenner, the left guard for Miami, the undrafted free agent rookie, has been overwhelmed by Kyle Williams, and across the board, Buffalo's just been more physical up front.
Hold it. Okay. Buffalo playing without its starting quarterback, E.J. Manuel. No Stevie Johnson, as Graham's going to try to cut it back. Covered an awful lot of real estate to barely get back to the line of scrimmage. They lost their rookie wide receiver, Marquise Goodwin, to an ankle in the first half. Robert Woods, their other rookie, ejected earlier in this half after throwing a punch. But at least at the moment, Buffalo has had enough. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the NFL Today update presented by Aflac. We'll send you to New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower with all the very latest around the NFL, all the playoff scenarios here in Week 16. Well, time of possession, total yardage, really some of the main themes so far. Look at the time of possession disparity, Steve, since the intermission.
1, 2, test.
Look at the number of plays. 15 plays in the second half for Miami.
There's Joe Philbin. Michael Thomas, the hero from last Sunday, right behind him. Not the kind of afternoon that Philbin envisioned. Dolphins have 2 timeouts. Here's Spiller. Get to the outside. Ball comes loose. Buffalo able to recover. Craig Urbick falling at it. Well, that would have been disastrous.
Miami takes its third and final timeout.
So our board was incorrect. Miami was down to its final timeout. Steven, they're going to take it right here. So no timeouts left for Miami with 5 and change left.
Great job by Craig Urbick, the left guard, or the right guard, excuse me, jumping on that football, following the play just for that reason. Could have been a significant play if Miami would have recovered that football, given their offensive ball near midfield. The way the Miami offense is playing right now, I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but I'm sure Joe Philbin would have appreciated the opportunity.
So Buffalo will punt. Mormon on to boot it again. Marcus Thigpen standing at his own 10.
Coming for the block, Miami is.
Buffalo covers him. This one takes a Buffalo bounce close to the 20. And out of bounds, they'll mark it at the 25. Next Saturday, CBS Sports dishes up a couple of scoops of hoop. First, Jim Boeheim's Orange laying out the unwelcome mat for Jay Wright's Villanova Wildcats. Then it's a bluegrass rivalry as Rick Pitino's defending national champion Louisville Cardinal taking on John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats. It all starts at 2 next Saturday here on CBS. Spiro Dita, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew from Buffalo. 16-0 Bills in front. Miami out of timeouts, desperately looking for points. Tannehill flushed out again. Steve, they just haven't given their quarterback much of a chance to put something together.
Yeah, and you can just sense that Buffalo knows it as well. Every time they line up, they know that Miami cannot handle them. They cannot stand up to the pressure. Mario Williams coming free right there. Jerry Hughes is coming up the outside. The pocket being pushed right in his face is really what's been causing, again, the problems for Ryan Tannehill by Kyle Williams and Marcel Darius.
We saw McKinney that time just get bulldozed by Jerry Hughes. Tannehill in this half, 1 of 8 for 9 yards. Airing it out here, that's incomplete. And Steve, it just does not look like the same offense that we watched in the second half last Sunday.
No, it does not. And you can't get any. Give Ryan Tannehill credit. He's playing on a bum right knee right now. Clay right there was open. Had a chance to make a completion right there. He's been a guy that has been disappointing to me. I really thought that Clay was going to be a matchup issue for Buffalo. Other than getting 3 catches early for minimal yards, he hasn't been a factor either.
Saw Mike Sherman, the offensive coordinator, a picture of calm even at this point. Up in the coach's box. Tannehill from the shotgun, 3rd and 10. Bills coming again. Tannehill going down again. 7th sack.
Roby. Nikhil Roby is unblockable, but watch how Daniel Thomas, the running back, his indecision right there of just waiting. He actually runs into Ryan Tannehill. He was coming across. His responsibility was to get over and pick up that off-edge blitzer, and he runs into the quarterback and does not make the block.
This has been a defender's dream today for Buffalo. They have just pinned their ears back and battered Tannehill right from the start. 4th and 18 with Miami out of timeouts. Tannehill's going to take his shot. And this one overthrown. My goodness, it was there to be had for Wallace, but too far behind the play. Broken up between Bird and McKelvin.
Well, just a desperation heave from Ryan Tannehill right there. Overthrew everybody in the Dolphins uniform. If Mike Wallace has an extra step, doesn't maybe stumble right there, he could have had that ball. Oh, another hit, another exposed hit. And those are the ones that hurt too, Spiro, by the way. When you're fully committed to throwing a deep ball and a big 350-pound man with a head of steam hits you in the ribs, Marcel Darius right there, that does not feel good.
I'm sure the defensive coaches will tell those DBs next time you just knock it down. So 1st and 10, turnover on downs. And Buffalo in complete command. Keep it on the ground. It's the fullback, Frank Summers, dealing with some injuries the last couple of weeks. The first-year man out of UNLV. Philbin, a guy who is a serious guy in terms of how he goes about his business. Steve tried to temper the enthusiasm after the big emotional win last Sunday. Towards the end of our meeting, we asked him about the playoffs, and he kind of in jest said, "Oh, meeting's over," got up and walked out of the room. But this is not what he hoped for.
In our conversation with Ryan Tannehill, Ryan was very, very adamant in his praise for the job that Joe Philbin has done keeping his team together, making them closer as a team throughout all the controversy and the distractions of the year. And he gives him a lot of credit for keeping his team focused on what they needed to focus on. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen today for the Miami Dolphins.
So as it stands right now, if Miami loses here, and it certainly looks like they will, we know that Cincinnati is going to beat Minnesota. If San Diego loses later today against Oakland at home, and the Ravens beat New England at home, Miami is eliminated from the playoffs.
Hey, 59.
3rd and 2 from the 10. Jackson will be short of the first down. Needed to get to the 7. Miami, though, out of timeouts. There's precious time ticking away.
And Spiro, let's give some credit also to we've talked an awful lot about the disappointment on the Miami Dolphins sideline, but give some credit to Doug Marrone and this Buffalo Bills football team. What a great job they've done. I think this is a rising young football team that's going to be a force next year. You see what their defense is capable of. You got pretty consistent play today out of Thad Lewis, but E.J. Manuel has people excited for the future as a young quarterback. If he develops, I think Doug Marrone has reason to be optimistic going into next year.
Looks like Marrone wants to call for time. before Carpenter sets up. This was not supposed to be a rebuilding year. They had high hopes
Buffalo
going in.
calls its first timeout.
As Buffalo sits at 5-9, and give him all kinds of credit for how Marone got him prepared here today. Wanted to win this one for the city. We talked to C.J. Spiller. He says he still dreams about playing home games here in the month of January in the playoffs, as he'll miss out for a fourth straight year.
Said he's seen the stadium going crazy on YouTube videos, but he wants to be a part of it. And you know, I think though, Spiro, anytime you're breaking in a rookie quarterback, you're looking at a rebuilding type of year. Even though you might have some of the other pieces in place, but think of the young receivers that have played a role here. Think of the young quarterback. A lot of new things going on in this organization. So I think the expectations realistically were probably a little bit tempered.
26-yard attempt by Carpenter. Perfect so far today, and it continues. 19-0 Buffalo. And Steve, the other thing is, when you have a defense that can be this dominant, you don't need to have the best offense.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest reason why they feel like they are just about ready to turn a corner going into next year.
Anytime you have a good, solid defense that can create turnovers like they've done today in terms of pressure as well, the pressure on Tannehill has been relentless. You've got a chance in any ball game because most teams are not going to be able to run away from a very good defense. Ryan Tannehill found out the hard way today for the second time, being involved in a losing effort, most likely to the Buffalo Bills. Sacked 7 times today, got his knee bumped up a little bit. It's just not been a good day. Look at those numbers there. Hurried 13 times, knocked down 4.
You know, Steve, at first glance, people that see the score of this game may be surprised, but really, we shouldn't be. This is what the NFL has become. You beat New England 1 week at home. You know, even with the playoffs right in front of you, you come out and you lose the next week by 19 to a team that isn't going to the playoffs.
Right.
And this is what the league has become. It's so up and down week to week.
If you are not ready to play, and I'm not saying that Miami wasn't ready to play, but I'm saying if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get beat by anybody.
Miami fumbling on the kick return. They recover. Austin Spittler able to fall on the football. So here comes Matt Moore. Looks like Tannehill is finished. Cincinnati a winner. That game is a final, 42-14. So 2 of the nightmare scenarios of the 4 for Miami have come to fruition here. A loss here to Buffalo, Cincinnati winning. And as I told you earlier, if San Diego loses at home to Oakland and Baltimore wins at home over New England, Miami will be eliminated from playoff contention by the end of the night. Hard to believe, considering where they started when they got up this morning. Moore's pass on first down is caught by Hartline. Boy, Moore doesn't throw that interception, Steve, after the 50-yard strike to Hartline. Who knows what happens?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, that was the breath of life that Miami needed. The big play out of their own end zone to give them some life. If you can follow it up with points, you got a chance.
Moore has time over the middle. Clay trying to make a one-handed catch, and he does. Charles Clay, who has been so quiet today, 14-yard catch as we reach the 2-minute warning. Hasn't been much to smile about here for Fred Jackson. He is smiling now, up 19-0. Ryan Tannehill, a rough afternoon, dumped 7 times by the Buffalo defense. Steve, 10 of 27 for 82 yards, about as ugly a stat line for a guy who has been lights out during the month of December. Buffalo challenging that last catch by Clay. We'll get Steve thoughts on Tannehill when we come back. Doug Marone and Buffalo challenging whether this last pass play was a completion. Charles Clay, if it stands, this is one of the better catches you'll see.
It is a spectacular catch, and you can't really tell. You can see right there that something happens, but you can't tell. His hands were in the way. You can't tell if that ball actually hit the ground or not, and it was ruled a catch, so you'll see that the right arm seems to get underneath the ball in one of the other angles coming up. But the bottom line is this was a heck of a play right here. Look at the right arm is under the ball there, so I think
after review of the play, ball hit the ground during the process of catch. It is an incomplete pass. Brings up 3rd down from the 30-yard line. Buffalo will not be charge with the timeout.
I'm surprised. I didn't think it was clear that ball hit the ground, but you got a good reason to believe it did. Buffalo kind of rubbing salt in the wounds of Joe Philbin and the Miami Dolphins by challenging that call. But when you're right, you know, and he came out right for sure there.
So a minute 55 left here in the fourth. Bonus coverage coming up. We will take you to Houston momentarily. All Denver
Ball
there,
placed on the 31-yard line.
37-13.
Third down.
With 4 and change left. Postseason pictures starting to come together in the AFC. 3rd and 7, Miami out of timeouts. Ryan Tannehill, if you've just joined us, done for the day. Right knee injury late. As he was just beaten up by this Buffalo defense. Moore today making his first appearance of the season. Somehow escapes a sack miraculously. There's it down the field, but he's picked off. It's Leotis McKelvin with one of the easiest picks he'll ever have. And Buffalo takes it back.
Well, just when it rains, it pours, literally, here for the Miami Dolphins. Matt Moore, it's a low snap that gets away from him. Off to the side, he bobbles it, does an unbelievable job getting out, and then I don't know what he's doing throwing up the field, just Hail Mary. Leotis McKelvin comes down, second interception of the day for the Buffalo Bills, 22nd on the year. Their 20 coming in this game was tied for 3rd in the NFL. This is a team that generates a lot of turnovers because of that pressure.
Steve, what can you say about these fans? Freezing rain today. Buffalo missing the playoffs for 14 straight year. If there's a more loyal fan base in the NFL, I don't know where it is.
I see 3 guys below us that are about half naked. It really is not a pleasant sight, but they love their fans. I mean, it's unbelievable what they'll do here in Buffalo to support a winner and how hungry they are to have a contending team. And they hate the Dolphins.
Well, if they can't make the playoffs, only thing that'll make them happy is raining on Miami's parade. Again, bonus coverage coming up. We will send you to Houston momentarily for the end of the Broncos-Texans game. See some of the passing leaders today, Week 16, another big day for Peyton Manning. One more knee from Thad Lewis, and this one will go into the books for Buffalo. And now if you're Miami, a week after you beat Brady and the Patriots, they are pulling for New England later this afternoon in Baltimore.
Yeah, a Baltimore win combined with the San Diego loss not only eliminates Miami, but it also guarantees it cleans up the whole playoff picture. You now have Cincinnati and Baltimore in.
Well, a day that started full of promise for Joe Philbin and Miami, ending in bitter disappointment here in Western New York. 19-0 the final as Ryan Tannehill walks off the field, and Thad Lewis, his 2nd career win as an NFL starter. First one came in Miami in late October, and he gets him again here in Week 16.
He knows how to play against his hometown team, that's for sure.
Final score, Buffalo 19, Dolphins nothing. Coming up next, bonus coverage in Houston between the Broncos and the Texans. Now for Steve Berline, Spiro Dina saying so long from Buffalo. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. We'll send you to New York and James Brown for the NFL Today update presented by Aflac after these messages.